There's a story of a young man who finally gets his license, and so he runs right away to dad. Dad, I want to take the family car out. Give me the keys. And dad says, well, there's three things you got to do. One, you got to pull up your grades. You're not getting no car until you pull up your grades. Two, you got to read the Bible every day. And three, you got to get a haircut. He knows he can kind of hold this over him. And so these are the three desires he lays out. And the son's disgruntled, but there's nothing he can do. He's got to fulfill these wishes or he's never going to get the car. And so he goes and he studies and he studies and he studies and he pulls up his grades and he runs to his dad with his new report card and says, see, I've pulled up my grades. Dad says, congratulations, you're a third of the way there. No, but I've been reading the Bible the whole way through too. Great, you're 2/3 of the way there, but I still look at your hair, you need a haircut. And that's when his son right away says, yeah, but Jesus had long hair. And without wasting a second, the father yells back, yeah, but Jesus walked everywhere, didn't he? Okay, maybe a bad joke, but you get the idea. When we live under the same roof as parents and children, we don't always see eye to eye. We're not always going to agree, right? We're going to look at life through different lenses. And so, therefore, how do we have a healthy family structure when we're not always agreeing? And Paul lays it out. Colossians 3:20-21. And Paul says, children, obey your parents in everything, for this is what pleases the Lord. And parents, right, that word fathers can be interchanged with parents according to Hebrews 11:23. Parents, don't embitter, don't stir up and provoke your children, for they'll become discouraged. They'll lose heart. And if we were at Tim Hortons right now, as a reminder kind of what we've been talking about, I'd ask you, how's it going in your family? And you'd share the good and the bad and the joys and the struggles. But then very quickly after that, I would say, no matter what's going on, I'm going to ask you in your role, in your function, how are you doing at living for the Lord in that role? Are you obeying in everything your parents as a worship, as sacrifice to the Lord? As parents, are you embittering, are you stirring and provoking your children to discouragement, to lose heart? Or are you mentoring in such wisdom so that you can stir up and provoke them to action? How are we doing in those roles? Because that's all we're in charge of. That's all we're responsible for. I can't change him and what she says and what they're doing, but I can respond what I'm called to do. I can take responsibility for what I'm told to do in my role, in my function as a child, as a parent. And so how are you doing in that role, in that function? And so I guess that's my first challenge. My second challenge is then here in the middle of the week, why don't you look at that family structure you're in and choose a parent or choose a brother or sister or a child and say, I'm going to speak truth into them. I'm going to love them. I'm going to come alongside them and I'm going to give grace upon them and mercy upon them. I'm going to do what I can to live out my calling of Colossians 3:20-21 and so that I can pour health into our family. And so try and be creative and try and leave little notes or something, or take somebody out, or leave a little Timmy's card with somebody, or do something you can to show that you're taking seriously your role to pour into my family health and strength and point them to the Lord. The family structure is being challenged these days. We're defining new ways of what the family looks like. My challenge is, in the family structure you find yourself in, live out what God's calling you to do. And children, obey your parents in everything, for this is how the Lord is pleased. And parents, don't embitter, don't stir up, don't provoke your children, or they'll get discouraged. Try and pour into them and mentor them. Find new ways to bless on them so that they'll be provoked to action. And they'll see in you a life that they'll want to imitate, because they'll see you following God's word and God's call upon your life. God bless you. Thanks for watching, and have a great week.